In today's video, we're going to go over the settings manual to help you better customize your app and also get better results from your SoundQA test. Now, to go to the settings, please click the gear icon. You'll first be greeted with a basic settings screen. Most of these items are quite straightforward. You can mute your sound effects or change your unit system from metric to imperial. You can also choose to turn on either of the two 3 strikes mode to get a more accurate reading. What it does is when you take a SoundQA test, it will give you 3 bubbles, and each successful strike will fill in one of these bubbles. By the end, if the frequency differences among these 3 strikes are too big, you'll get a warning. Otherwise, you'll be able to proceed with the test. And then it will take either the medium reading or the average reading of the 3 strikes. Autosave, as we mentioned before, it helps you save time so that you don't have to go through the save screen every single time. The system will save the test automatically. It is especially useful if you're testing a large batch of specimen. Timeout for strike is a setting where if you click the record button and leave the system idling, it will eventually go to this timeout screen, and here you can set the time it takes to get to this screen by simply type into the fields down below. Reset basic settings will simply reset all these settings back to factory default, and reset specimen dimensions will reset the current specimen's dimension to the factory default. Alright, next up, let's take a look at the advanced settings. Now, first of all, you can click the help icon at top right corner of the screen. You can click help and it will open up a model that briefly describes what each of these setting categories does. You don't need to know all of these settings, but some of them are quite helpful. For example, the first thing that attracts your attention might be the background noise level. By default, it is set to auto, and it will adapt to the environment's noise level automatically. But sometimes, if you find that you can't get successful strikes consistently, or if you're getting a lot of false positive strikes, then you can manually change this setting. I found that medium is a good middle ground that generally works quite well. Next up is the warning settings. Now, by default, these warnings are turned on, and as you can see, if you get a bad strike, it will tell you what could potentially go wrong. Or it will give you a pop-up sometimes asking you to check if you have the correct settings. I generally found these to be quite helpful. I would suggest that you leave these on. One other thing that might be useful to tweak is the server projects and export settings. By default, the server screen has 20 projects per page. But if you found that you have too many pages, or your internet speed is pretty good, you can fine-tune it and maybe change it to 30 or 40. Conversely, if you found that your projects are loading relatively slow, then maybe you can tune it down. And last but not the least, just like in basic settings, you can reset all the advanced settings back to factory default by click the Reset Advanced Settings button. Alright, that's it for today's video. Why not give it a try and fine-tune your app to your liking? I'll see you in the next video.